Good afternoon. Good morning, good afternoon. I think it's June 1st today, 2025. Not nice again. It's been so cold and crappy this spring, guys. It's normally by now I have most of the garden planted. You guys want to see how much we have planted? I'll spin the camera around. This is what we have planted. A sum total of absolutely nothing. But we are working on planting stuff today. It's, I don't know, 7 degrees Celsius. It's been raining on and off. It's 10:45 in the morning. We are getting ready to plant tomatoes. So I've started making holes. Part of the problem is it's so windy that I was trying to melt holes, nice holes for the tomatoes, but it kept blowing my torch out. The torch, right? So I found out that if I cut a square, then I can melt the sides of the square and the torch doesn't blow out as easy. So, in between each T-post, okay, is 6 feet. We're gonna put 4 tomatoes between each, 8 inches off the post. We're starting our first tomato plant. And instead of going, sorry guys, the camera's a little shaky. I'm shivering, I'm freezing. Normally I do 12 inches between tomato plants. This year we're going 18. One of the reasons for that is it's going to cut down on the amount of disease I get this year. Giving a little extra wiggle room between each plant is going to help with disease. So that's what we're doing. I've already gone all the way down the row. You can't see them. I'll show you. I've already measured, and then right here, see a little slice? Okay, so I've made slices all the way down at 18-inch marks. I was using my inverted marking paint. If you guys are doing stuff like this, get cans of inverted marking paint. It's actually designed to run upside down, okay? They're special made cans. That's what you see on the streets in the city and all that. They use all that marking paint on the road. That's what they are. So I've already started marking, and then I realized that I need that marking paint to do all my peppers. So we just went with the X-Acto knife. So I'll show you what we're doing here. So here's that first hole I told you about. We're just basically cutting a 3 or 4 inch square. See, and this is what happens if you just cut them, and then this will just continue to fray, right? So then we take our torch. If you guys don't have one of these, you should. They're great. Turn the dial on, hear the gas. Just like that. Now all the frays are melted. It's nice and plastic and it won't fray anymore. So I'm not doing one at a time though. I'm cutting all the holes like I did here. I just cut all the holes and then I just chased them with the torch. So I've got this section to do, that section to do, that section to do, and then we turn around and we have those 3 sections to do. So once we get all the holes cut, then we are going to dig them all out and get ready to plant tomatoes. So I'm just gonna carry on with this. So these torches are super handy. So you just see how it just melts the edges, gets rid of all those frays, right? Gets rid of all the fraying. Just like that. Easy peasy. See? No more fraying. So this is what we're currently doing. I've got my young man here with me. He's helping. My youngest likes to garden, my oldest doesn't. So All my tomatoes we brought here in totes. They are a little mixed and matched in the totes. So what my young lad's doing is he's pulling them all out. They all have labels, right? They all have labels. We're separating them by variety, like that. See, we're laying them all out. And then he's just gonna sort those other 2 totes. And then we're going to pick the nicest ones. And we're gonna start to plant. We're doing 36 tomatoes. We're gonna have San Marzanos here. That will give me 12 San Marzanos there, and then probably some there. And then the rest are going to be other varieties. We've got mortgage lifters, black crims, blue chocolates, and Tommy Toes. So while he's doing all the separating, I'm gonna start digging holes for planting. When you have to do a large volume of something like we're planting 36 tomatoes, I always find the best way to do a project like this is one step at a time for the whole system. So we cut all the holes, then we melted all the holes. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dig all the holes, and then we're gonna come back and plant. We're gonna lay all the tomatoes in front of all the holes so they're all organized. Then we're gonna plant them. And then we're gonna backfill them. So as you guys can see, looking down in that hole, okay, this is mushroom compost and alfalfa right there. That's the alfalfa pellets and the pelletized hen manure, and a lot of it is kind of sitting on top, right? You see? So I'm gonna get my trowel in here. I like to use a long, thinner trowel. I'm gonna take the compost and the alfalfa. When I dig this out, the first couple of scoops, I'm gonna put that off to the side, and then the rest of the soil in the bottom of the hole I'm gonna put off to the other side. And then that way, when I repack the hole with the tomato in it, I'm gonna make sure that all the good stuff goes back in the hole, and any residual soil that doesn't fit, we don't have to worry about, okay? We want the good stuff back in the hole as opposed to whatever soil, because the solo cup in the soil is gonna occupy part of that hole, right? So we want the good stuff. We gotta make sure we get the good stuff back in. The soil is not as important. So basically, like I said, I'm gonna scoop. Get the good stuff out of the way. This first row is gonna be tricky because there's a lot more weeds in the first row. And I want my tomato plant, I want this hole to be at least as deep as my trowel. But the first row, like I said, is always a little tricky because there's lots of roots down there. And it's never tilled as nice as the rest of the beds. And see, because this soil is clay, you really got to dig at it. I'll show you what I mean. There's the hole. So how deep are we? We're that deep. All right. So we're basically that deep in the ground. So I'm gonna put, before I plant, I have a bucket over there with different types of fertilizers. I'll talk about that when I get to that point. And we're gonna put a blob of fertilizer in the hole, the tomato on top, we're gonna backfill. So now I'm just gonna work my way all the way down the line and repeat this process all the way down the line with the rest of the tomatoes. We got everything done, all the holes done. You guys can see we've made 2 piles beside each hole. So amendments and clay, basically, all the way down, right? Done them all the way down. And here, took about 20 minutes, it's not so bad. And then what I've done is I've had Logan lay out all the plants in front of all the holes by variety. So 1 variety, 2 varieties, 3 varieties, 4 varieties, and then Logan wanted to have a mixed section. So we have all those varieties from down there, and we're gonna have 1 of each here. And then those will be the San Marzanos, and then those will be my San Marzanos for making spaghetti sauce. The next step is I've got a coffee can, good old Folgers. If you guys are looking for good coffee, the Mountain Roast is really tasty. So in here we have Gaia Green Veg Fertilizer, organic, right? We have bone meal, blood meal, and powdered eggshells. You can see the little bits of powdered eggshells. So each hole gets a scoop like that right into the bottom of the hole, and then we just work right down the line just like that. Scoop, drop that right in the bottom of the hole, and I'm just going to work my way. See, it's not an exact measurement, it's basically what fits on the front of the trowel. See, boom. So I'm gonna do all of these, and then we go to the next step. So this is a black crim, okay? Now we are going to bury this thing probably about that deep in the ground. So you need to pick off all the lower branches, and I just use my thumbnail, just pinch them off, just like that. You can use your pruners if you want to, but you never want your tomato leaves to come into contact with the soil, ever, ever, ever. The soil is the #1 location for pathogens for your tomato plants. So never let your leaves touch the ground. So see how much we've stripped off? So we're gonna bury that. And the reason we're burying it that deep is because multiple reasons. One, we're gonna get roots develop all the way up this stem, creating a much healthier plant instead of just this much in the soil, right? Putting the roots out from here and then growing down. You bury it, and then we're gonna have roots grow all the way up this section of stem. And the other reason we plant them deep is because even if it's hot, and even if I don't get here watering, okay, if we're talking 10 inches or so below the ground, chances are the soil 10 inches below the ground is not dry, okay? So the tomatoes will just dig deep for water. The deeper you plant them, the more access to water they have, and the less they're gonna struggle when it gets hot. Make sense? Okay? Tool for your toolbox. So we're gonna take our plant, we have fertilizer in the hole, take our tag out, give it a little tap. There's our roots, looks nice and healthy. These things are soaked, guys. I had a storm come through my house, and these were all up on my balcony, and the eaves trough wasn't working right, and it filled all of my totes that I had all my veggies in, soaked, flooded with water, and it washed away half of the soil on some of my plants. It was a huge disaster. So we're gonna take that, gonna drop it down into the hole, okay? And then we're going to, remember how we separated our soil? So the good stuff is going in first. And then we just fill it in like that. And I generally don't fill it so it's level with the rest of the beds, because when I water these, I want a slight depression in the ground to catch the water when I water it. So then all we're going to do is we're just going to push the soil to the side. I have a plan for the extra soil. We're going to come back to that. Okay, so we're just going to, and then we just come back in and stick the little tag in. And now we're just going to work our way right down the line, and we're going to do all the tomatoes. Logan's already gone down the back line, and he's already picked all these branches off for me, so we can just keep moving. So, like I said, grab the next one, take the tag out. I'm going to strip a couple of these leaves off, like that. Take these cotyledons off, definitely don't need those. Alright. Down into the hole it goes. Right on top of all of that fertilizer. Some people will water their hole. They'll flood the hole with water before they plant. You can do that, but for me it just makes it harder to do this process if everything in that hole is just soggy mud. Like that. Throw the tag in. So it's official, we have plants in the ground. I'm just going to work my way down and do the rest. We got them all in, 36. Let's give you guys another view here. There we go, all the way down to there. So we've got, how did we plant these? So we've got the black crims first, and then Logan stuck a tag inside out. This is a blue chocolate. You just put the tag inside out. We'll just fit that back in there. So black crims, those are big tomatoes. Then blue chocolates, they're about that big. And then mortgage lifters here, those are another huge tomato, like 2-pounders. And then we've got Tommy Toes here. Those are really highly productive cherry tomatoes. And then this is the random garden. So we have a blue chocolate, a Tommy Toe, a black crim, and a mortgage lifter. And then these last 4 are the San Marzanos. We didn't put tags in them. No need to put tags. And then this whole row here are the San Marzanos. And the reason, so last year, if you guys have been following the channel, you remember I ran all my San Marzanos down through here, and then I ran my large tomatoes here. But the variety of San Marzanos I got this year are a semi-indeterminate, and they only get about 5 feet tall. So I didn't want the large tomatoes in the back blocking these short San Marzanos this year. So we just put them in the front, and then they won't shade the larger plants in the back. And that's also why we put them over there. And now I have enough room to plant all kinds of stuff. We measured this out. Logan, what did we measure this out? 20 feet 7 inches? I think it was 20 feet 7 inches.
30 feet.
No, it wasn't 30 feet. No, it was not 30 feet. So I think that's 20 feet 7 inches on here. So I have lots of space to put more stuff. Not sure what's happening here. We're gonna put peppers here, but that's a project for a different day. And then that, finishing that up is a project for a different day. So everything's been watered. And if you're wondering why I've kept all the piles of dirt beside all the holes, like I said, we're gonna grow watermelon in this patch of weeds here. There's a water line that runs there, and we're gonna put geotextile on it. And I have to dig holes for the watermelons, but this soil has never been tilled. It's just field. So basically I'm gonna have to excavate holes, pull all the weeds out, and I'm gonna mound up for the watermelons. And that's where I'm going to use all that leftover soil from every hole to help me make nice mounds here, because it has some soil amendments and I'll amend it some more. But so that's why I've kept all the piles here, and I can't move it to here yet because we're not ready to work on this project. But that's if you're wondering, that's why we have all those, and each pile of soil is leftovers from what didn't fit back in the hole. Well folks, that concludes this video. How to properly plant tomatoes. Easy peasy, follow a few basic steps, and you're gonna have massive tomatoes. I mean, I'm expecting the tomatoes on this side of me here, my tall tomato plants, I'm expecting them to hit 8 to 10 feet. So it's not a lot. I mean, it's tall, but it's not a lot of steps that change from one tomato to the other. You just run them through, fertilize them, dig them deep. Don't let the leaves touch the soil. They've already been watered, even though the ground is moist. They've all been watered because the San Marzano root balls were pretty dry. They did not get hit by the storm on my balcony because they were close to my house. So if you guys find value in this and you're new here, I'd love it if you subscribed. We're going to be planting 1,600 square feet of garden. We're just getting warmed up. And give me a big thumbs up. Leave me a comment if you want. Share this video out. I'd appreciate that. Grow good food. I'll see you in the next one.